You're watching WBRZ, Channel 2 in Baton Rouge. Hotline After Dark is next. Oh, well, I kind of messed that up. Okay, look, great show from last week. Everyone ready?
Oh, yeah.
And Mike and Q-Pad.
Speak.
Live television has a unique way of providing interest, information, and excitement. We have all of that for you this morning and a personal invitation to participate. We're coming to you live from the Telecommunications Center of WBRZ Channel 2 in Baton Rouge, and this is Hotline After Dark.
This morning on Hotline After Dark, we open the phones with Crimeline, a bizarre, tragic story. Iris Williams is back with your calls and her spiritual enlightenment. It's Super Bowl weekend, and our super sports talkers get to mix it up with Gus Piazza and Norman Nasty. When was the last time a meteor fell in your yard? Well, it happened to Freddie Rapalana. He's our unusual guest. And on the hot seat, Coroner Hypolite Landry. It's the midnight hour, and this is Hotline After Dark.
And as Hotline After Dark continues, our Crimeline segment, and a police detective who worked in the sex crimes division and was also attacked. For those of you possibly dealing with a similar problem, our phone lines are now open. Let's go to our first commercial break, enjoying this song by Jerry and the Pacemakers from a long time ago, Don't Let the Sun Catch You Crying.
Hotline After Dark is brought to you in part by Bud Light and the good people of Southern Beverage Company of Baton Rouge. Bud Light, proud sponsor of the 1988 U.S. Olympic team. Everything else is just a light.
The night's the time for your tears.
Now, with Keen's Blue Bag Express service, those dreaded lines at the dry cleaner will disappear. Simply put your clothes in your blue laundry bag and then drop off your personalized bag at any Keen's location. From that moment on, no waiting, no bother, no wasted time. Come by any Keen's location today and get your personalized bag for the Keen's Blue Bag Express service.
Well, you're the kind of man that likes to do things your own way. And you can bet it's right when you get through. Ooh, there's a beer that always fits right in your hand. 'Cause you're a bud man, and this bud's for you. Oh, you do. This bud's for you.
Don't wait any longer. The time to buy your new Pontiac is right now. And the place is Durham. Durham Pontiac in Hammond. Factory incentives up to $1,000. Customer rebates up to $750. Plus big discounts. You'll get a Durham good deal like you've never seen. Bonnevilles, Grand Ams, Firebirds, Sunbirds. Durham's got them and we're moving them out. But hurry, because this very special program won't last forever. Time to buy your new Pontiac is right now. And the place is Durham. Durham Pontiac in Hammond.
I'm John Spade, and this week on Sunday Journal, United States Senator J. Bennett Johnson will be our guest. We'll get some insight into Central America, presidential politics, and the state of Louisiana in 1988.
In terms of Louisiana's future, I think it is very bright. We have such strengths in our state. The basic problem we have had is that the price of oil collapsed.
Join us Sunday night at 10:30 for an hour-long edition of Sunday Journal. We hope to see you then.
Don't let the sun catch you crying. Don't let the sun...
From 1983 to 1986, our guest on Crimeline worked in the sex crimes division with the police department. During that time, she became experienced in dealing with rape victims, and immediately following that, she was also attacked. We're very happy to have with us Dana Smith. Welcome to Hotline After Dark.
Thank you.
Let's begin. Once a woman is raped, what's the procedure that the police department takes?
First, after receiving the phone call, we are dispatched to wherever the victim is, whether it be her home or outside her home, where she was attacked. And then once we get to the scene, we try to secure the scene, and then we take pictures of the scene, transport her to the hospital where she is examined by a doctor, and she is interviewed by the detectives and by Rape Crisis also.
Danny, in your experience, let's go back and hypothetically look at the crime has been committed and you get there. Obviously, the woman is fearful, humiliated, angry. All of the emotions that could possibly come into a situation like this are right there. You have to go in and calm this person down. How do you get the information out of them at that particular time, which is most crucial because the culprit may be in the area?
The first thing, we just, we try to ease them that, they are now safe. We're there with them. We're going to stay there with them as long as it takes. And the main thing, we try and get a description, because most of the time the victims call us, say, 30 minutes after the crime has occurred, because the attacker has threatened that if you call the police, I'll come back and I'll kill you, and I'm watching, or something like this. So usually we don't get a description right off, because it's mainly we have to calm them down first.
I know we probably don't have percentages as to the number of victims that haven't had or do not have the opportunity to call in, that just don't do anything about it. The phone lines are now open, and we need to greatly encourage that those people that may be dealing with this, that we can go to the phones. And I think we have a call coming in now. Good morning, you're on Hotline After Dark, and you're talking with Dana Smith.
Yes, I was calling. I had a sister had been raped, and she had, took a bath, and the detective said that she, she could still press charges, but it would have been hard. And I was wondering, what can you do about that?
Okay, James, thank you for the call, and stay on the line. Apparently after she was...
After she's raped, we encourage the victims not to take baths, not to douche, because it is very crucial that once she is examined by the doctor, that we get all the evidence, as far as semen, hair, that the rapist might have left.
James, thank you for the call. So the immediate thing that maybe the woman would want to do would be to cleanse herself, to get rid of it, to forget about it. And let's face it, the bathtub or the shower is the best place sometimes to collect your thoughts. As you're transporting the victim to the hospital, they may be talking and hysterical and whatnot, but once again, you have to be in a position in your experience to get that information from them.
Well, I know after I was attacked, I can understand what these victims were going through, because I never felt it. I always thought I understood it until after my attack, and then I understood the guilt, feeling dirty, feeling that it was my fault. Whereas, I tell them it's not your fault. And that, it's not a crime of sex. It is a crime of violence.
Ann is on the line. Let's take another call. Good morning, Ann. Thanks for taking the time to call. A question, a comment?
About 8 years ago, I was raped in my home. I never told my husband. I was afraid, and I still am.
Did you call the police after it happened?
But my doctor agreed with me not to tell him about it till I was ready to tell him.
And this was 8 years ago? Hello, Ann?
Yes, sir.
This was 8 years ago this occurred?
It was.
Have you gone to the authorities since then?
He was killed trying to do the same thing about ago.
So here's a perfect example, once again, Dana, that somebody is raped, and 8 years later, therapy or whatever, in dealing with it, they finally come, and this guy may have caused this crime 4 or 5 times, who knows, after that?
Yes, apparently she knew the rapist, because she said he was killed. So apparently she knew who raped her, which is very likely that most victims do know their attacker.
Another call. Good morning. You're on the air. This is Hotline After Dark.
Yes, Pat, I have something I'd like to say to the lady on the screen right now.
Go right ahead.
About 4 years ago, I was raped in my home. I'm a widow, and I live by myself. And I didn't tell anybody about it because I felt so dirty.
Okay, ma'am.
And everything,
Sure. Okay, take it easy because there is something that can help you out, and Dana can tell us about it. And Julie, if you got the number, get it on the screen as fast as possible.
Rape crisis, yes. Rape crisis has helped me already tremendously, and they're still working with me.
But you're still having difficulty in getting over this happening.
And that's what they're working with me on right now is to get over this the difficulty and the dirt that I feel.
What do you recommend, Dana? She's gone to the Rape Crisis Center. I mean, you've been through it.
I know, like, I had to go through counseling because it was very hard for me to understand why it happened to me. The best thing is if she's still having difficulty, which sounds like that, to cope with it, to keep going through counseling. And you do have people in Rape Crisis who is very supportive and will be there if you need them.
So, ma'am, the best advice is just keep at it. Keep working at it. Is that right,
True.
Dana?
Yeah.
God bless you, ma'am. Thank you for calling.
Thank you.
Okay. Can you go through with this, what happened to you? Maybe somebody just tuned in, and once again we emphasize that Dana was a detective with the Sex Crimes Division of the Police Department, and you, in fact, were attacked. How did it happen?
It was one afternoon, about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I had just come in from work and heard a knock on the door, opened the door, and it was a man that I knew who lived in my neighborhood. And all he said to me, "I'm going to rape you." And from then he attacked me, and he didn't have a weapon, so I fought him.
Another call. Good morning, you're on the air. This is Hotline After Dark. Can we help you?
Yeah, hi, Dana. I want to know from you, what would make a man rape his mother?
I really could not answer that question. You would probably have to go.
The reason I asked because this morning I was reading the paper and I saw where this man had raped his mother, and I knew of an incident where the lady was attacked by her son.
Have you been able to help? Have you been able to help the lady out?
Spiritually, we go through that with through the Bible scriptures,
But she would really probably need to go through Rape Crisis to get more professional help in that matter.
For those of you that need help and assistance, the Rape Crisis number is appearing on the screen right now at 383-7273. Dana, we could probably spend the entire show on this matter based upon the fact that the phone is just on fire. There's a lot of calls coming in. For those of you that we were unable to get to you with your phone calls, we are sorry for that. We're going to have to get together again and do this again.
Thank you.
I deeply appreciate your courage, and thanks for being with us.
You're welcome.
Good seeing you again.
Thank you.
Dana Smith, coming up, for those of you that may be taking a trip and feel a little bit uncomfortable about it, maybe you are in search of a lost item, or maybe you just need some spiritual enlightenment. Iris Williams will be taking your calls next, and we'll have that. It was on the Durham label from 1968. It's the Brotherhood of Man, and it's United We Stand, Divided We Fall. The hour is late on this clear morning in Baton Rouge. Thanks for being with us. This is Hotline After Dark.
There's nowhere in the world that I would rather be than with you, my love.
Thousands of satisfied customers have made Richards Honda your #1 Honda dealer. Here's what our customers are saying about us.
Richards customer service is fantastic. When we lost our keys on the golf course, they made us a new one and delivered it.
I was looking for a truck. I found a 4-wheel drive Civic at Richards Honda that met all my needs and was more economical.
We decided to buy a Honda Accord. We shopped in Baton Rouge, Houma, and New Orleans and got the best deal at Richards.
Thanks, Baton Rouge, for making Richards Honda your #1 Honda dealer.
This is it. New Generation's inventory clearance sale. Our auditor said move it out or pay high inventory taxes. Make our loss your gain. Save on an NEC HQ VCR with remote, just $245, or a Whistler Spectrum 2 radar detector for only $198. And the Nikon one-touch autofocus 35mm camera is only $157. For even more specials, be sure and check our newspaper ad during the biggest inventory clearance sale ever at New Generation, your superstore.
We had a lot of phone calls last week. Iris Williams is with us again, and boy, I'll tell you, she's a delight to have. Last week we talked about the skeptics, Iris, that were going on and on about how the fact that, hey, it's a ripoff that you're spending all this money by going to a spiritualist to get this enlightened. But listen to this. The United States Army has commissioned a West Coast firm to explore the military potentials of meditation and extrasensory perception.
That's right.
So the government's involved in it.
Russia's been doing it for 20 years.
Give me some examples. In your experience, in the phenomena or stuff you've been reading, I mean, you know, why?
Can you imagine taking a group, a platoon of men through a relaxation before battle?
Sure.
You're talking something that takes, once you've done it, about 5 minutes, or you can do it in a second.
We're going to continue the conversation, folks, but do you have a question or a call for Iris? Don't hesitate to send them in. And Tim from Zachary's on his way. Ken, I'm sorry. Good morning, Ken. You want a question or comment for Iris?
Hi.
Hi.
Hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. Like you said, my name's Ken, and I live in Zachary. And I was wondering about the channel, about this lady that has channel. What's her name?
This is Iris Williams you're talking to on the hotline.
Williams, is that right?
That's right, Iris Williams.
Okay. Miss Williams, I know there's channeling. I know channeling happens. What exactly do you mean by channeling? You're a channeler, right?
A channeler and a medium basically is the same thing. A channel is simply to access yourself with information both from within yourself and through yourself. So yeah, I guess, though I don't call myself a channeler, as I stated last week, I basically just call myself Iris. You're channeling as you're living. You're channeling your own life force. So channeling, again, it's just one of those catchy terms.
If I go out in the morning and I run for 3 miles and I think about how the day is going to be planned for me and how I'm concentrating on what I'm going to be doing, in essence, I'm channeling.
A part of you is channeling.
Yeah.
When you're sitting under that tree and you're talking to God and God is answering you, you're in communion with the universe, that's channeling.
Okay, let's get back to this. Now, we mentioned last week, and I incorrectly said $3,000, but it's $300.
Right.
The New York Hilton, 1,200 faithful will pay $300 apiece to get the word from the New Age's reigning whirling dervish, Shirley MacLaine.
Right.
But there isn't much difference, as you had mentioned, by also giving in some way monetarily
to support your
to
church.
support spiritually what you may be doing.
Whatever you believe. That's right. Man is always going to support not only himself but his spiritual leader. And Shirley MacLaine is offering a service, and only we set our price. Only we set our price for what we're worth. Money is just an energy. It's just an exchange system. You give energy for energy, whether you're digging a ditch or doing a TV show or whatever.
We have another call coming in. Good morning. You're on the air. This is Hotline After Dark, and a question for Iris Williams.
Yes, this is Lawrence Mackey. I want to know where does she pull her source from? I mean, how does she come by this channeling, and what is it, you know, specifically?
Were you blessed with this? Did you notice something in an early age?
Yeah, I always saw spirit friends and helpers. Christianity calls them guardian angels. Spiritualists know that there is no death, basically, according to my philosophy. But also, I'm a highly sensitive, natural intuitive, a highly sensitive psychic. So yeah, everybody is psychic. Some of us to a great deal more
than others.
Well,
tell me, was there a specific thing that happened to you, say, when you were 7 or 8, 9 years old?
When I was 2 and 3 and 4, I had the most wonderful black lady to take care of me. My mother and my father separated very early, and I always had spirit. My husband was predicted to me just very clearly at 13. My teacher told me, Iris, you see that young man drinking water? And I said, yes. And he said, you're going to marry him someday. I said, I couldn't. I don't even know him. Well, I married him 4 years later and have been married to him for 23 years.
Rose is on the line. What do you think of that story? Were you able to hear that one, Rose?
No, I had...
Oh, I'm sorry, we had to delay there, but you do have a question for Iris. Go ahead.
Yes, Iris, on the Oprah Winfrey show, they had the channelers.
Right.
The first woman that turned herself into a man.
She did what?
She meditated and a man came out of her.
Oh, that's right. Okay, she was channeling then, and
I didn't watch the show. Yeah, she basically was channeling a universal teacher, I'm sure. I didn't watch Oprah Winfrey. Spirit guides are just basically enlightened beings on a spiritual plane. A woman wouldn't draw a woman, and a man by natural, just because.
Yeah.
I mean,
Here's Naomi. Naomi, good morning. Thanks for calling. A question?
Good morning, Iris. I have a question for you.
Sure.
Not too long ago, I had this. It's very hard to explain, but I actually felt the spirit of my body rise up into the ceiling of my house, and I looked back down on my body, and I've never been able to really explain that.
This was brought out in the movie. That,
Astral projection is what you had.
So she actually left her body and saw herself in
exactly. Her astral double. Man is a body of etheric double, astral, and spirit. Yeah, that happens often.
We have more calls coming in, but unfortunately we're unable to get to them. But if you need to get in touch with Iris at any time through the course of the week, and maybe you're unable to get in touch with her now, maybe we'll have to put that number back up on there, because I was going to write it down, and unfortunately I forgot it. But the number, Iris, is
346-1980.
346-1980, and you'll have the opportunity to talk to Iris Williams. Thanks for being with us, and next week, something enlightening and informational and entertaining.
Great.
Thank you. Nice seeing you again.
Thank you.
Coming up, the Super Bowl. We're going to fuel the fire by mentioning that this game has turned into the media hype bowl. Will the game this Sunday be a good football game, or just like the last 7 years? 30 different countries are going to be carrying this, and you'll see it here on Channel 2. The lines are open. Gus Piazza, Norman Nasty. Here's Van Morrison and Brown Eyed Girl.
Playing a new game, laughing and running, hey, hey.
We feel so happy about our low overhead that we could fly. So get on down here right now. We're having a lot of fun. Free sausage, free cold drinks, and you're going to get a price so low on a trucker van of your choice that you're going to fly out here with a happy smile on your face. Partner, we are so happy about our extremely low overhead that you should rush on down right now while you can get an extremely low price on a Toyota car of your choice, and you'll fly out of here extremely happy, darling.
I want somebody to tell me that things are getting easier.
You have to work hard, and you have to take problems and turn them into challenges to be overcome.
Basically, I would like to say is if I can make it, so can everybody else.
It's never too late to have a happy childhood.
Try to understand. You can get through it. In many ways, things are getting better.
Sally Jesse Raphael, sharing hope, sharing strength.
Join us for a half hour of sharing and caring here at 11 on WBRZ.
Oh, we got a problem now. I just asked Iris what her feelings were in the Super Bowl. She says Denver.
She's the one to ask, believe me.
Right. Let's get into this. The hype always exceeds the game. It's getting worse. The last time, in my opinion, that we enjoyed a decent game was 1979. Pittsburgh Steelers, Dallas Cowboys, 35-31. And then in 80, the Steelers came back to take it 31-19 after being down. It's all hype.
Yeah, it is. You know, it's big bucks. That's what it is. They're going to hype that thing to the max, get all the money they can, and go for it.
Yeah, it's gotten out of hand.
It is. Let's go ahead and hit the call here. I think the Balmy Swami is on the line.
I'm afraid not, Pat. Balmy's out on a hot date tonight. He's trying to control himself for dropping all his bucks out in Vegas, but Mr. Jay Downs probably said to...
Is that you, Spike?
Huh?
Spike. That's you, Spike?
That's Spike.
The Spike is back. Oh, man.
Hey, guys, you're putting on weight again, son.
Come on, son.
Dad.
Balmy.
You're looking good, though. Nasty, you looking terrible as ever.
Hey, who do you like in the fifth tomorrow at the fairgrounds?
I don't even know who's running.
Okay, JJ, hang on a second. I'm going to conference call you, and we got another call coming in. We're going to do a little four-way deal here. Hold on.
Sure.
Okay, who's on the line now? Hit conference again. I think I ruined this. Now what do I need to hit?
I don't know.
Who's on the line right now? No one. Who's on the line right now?
I am.
Is there anyone else on the line? It was supposed to be Benny the Book.
Let me have you do this. Why don't you just hit conference and call Benny yourself?
Sure. Anyway, Balmy, now that we got you on the line, now we got you on the line, my apologies for all that, folks. What is the line that you've got, and who's going to win this ball game?
I heard this afternoon is 3.5, and I think the Broncos going to beat it easily by about 11, 24-13. And take the under with 47.
That's what really scares me. He likes them, and I like them. That's bad.
He likes
Who do you like?
That's crazy.
Who do you like?
Washington's the winner.
Okay, why?
Defense. Washington will win the game because of defense.
Yeah.
No.
Defensive ends, man and Manly.
Get back. You can't contain Elway. There's no way.
Gus, if they do, will you buy me a dozen oysters?
I'll buy you 2 dozen.
All right.
You need it, Spike. You need to get a little weight there, son.
It was rough in Vegas.
JJ, we need to welcome you back to town anyway. I needed to get that in. Welcome back.
Thanks, and I'll be seeing you Monday.
Yeah, I'm sure. Denver's susceptible to the run. Washington is going to be running that ball.
Who? George Rogers, get back. Who else?
Calvin Bryant.
Calvin Bryant.
Calvin Bryant, he can get outside. He will get outside.
No, he won't get outside.
Yeah.
John Elway.
Okay, let's go to the quarterbacks. Elway, he can pass, he can run, he's been there. He has the experience. Doug Williams, 9 for 29 against the Vikings, and as you mentioned earlier, they won the game.
But they win. They were 14 points down from the Bears in Chicago. They came back and won.
Nasty.
Minnesota was on a roll.
Elway's going to put so many points on the board. It's going to take away that Washington run game. They're not going to be able to play the game they want to play. And I'll guarantee you, Doug Williams, fine quarterback, Zachary native and everything, can't play catch-up football.
So, JJ, you're saying the Skins then?
No.
Denver.
Oh, absolutely. Denver by 11.
All right, JJ, thanks. We're going to say goodbye to you and take some calls.
Thank you.
Thank you. Here's the other thing. The Broncos, 0-2 Super Bowl play. They want it bad. And the Skins have been there.
You don't think Washington wants it bad? You think they just want to go for the trip?
Well, I mean, they've been there 3 out of the last 6 times.
Don't you want to get out of Washington? Get back. That's why Denver's got the edge. They were there last year. They're not going to get caught up in the hype. Of course, Washington's been there 3 times.
Gibbs is the best coach in the league.
Let's see what Tony says. Tony, thanks for joining the discussion.
Yes, I would like to comment on the Super Bowl.
Go ahead.
I think that Washington's going to win it by 2 field goals. And Washington has a very good defensive team. And although John Elway is a pretty good quarterback and scramble out of the pocket and also throw the ball, I think Washington is going to take it by 6.
Well, how is Washington going to win by 2 field goals? They got Ali Haji Shank on the team. Can't kick a field goal.
You got a kicker can't make it for 20 yards.
I have a kicker.
Well, we're going to find out right now because we're putting a call into Benny the Book.
Benny the Book.
And Benny the Book's in town here. Apparently, he's got all the stuff.
He knew that number.
Hey, Benny the Book.
How are you, man?
Okay, Benny, thanks for being with us. Okay, Benny, what's the latest line?
I got 3.5 too. Got the same thing Swami's got.
Okay.
The over and under.
4 yesterday, the 3.5.
Okay, what do you got on the over? 47?
47, yeah. I'm going with Denver 44, Washington 27.
Okay, Benny, look, what about first half?
First half, take the over in both halves.
Take the over in both halves?
At 23.5.
All right, what about the coin toss?
I'll flip a coin.
Hey, Benny.
Hey.
Where did the total open up?
The total opened at 47.
And where did the line open up?
The line opened at 3.5.
Is that what it originally opened? I thought it opened at 3.
Yeah, it did open at 3. You're right.
And it's still 3.5, huh?
At 3, went to 3.5, went to 4, and it's back down to 3.5.
Okay, Benny boy, you're saying then Denver 44, Washington 27.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Benny, thanks. We're going to say goodbye to you and take some calls. Adios, amigo. Good morning. Hotline After Dark Sports Talk with Norman Nasty and Gus Piazza. Question, comment.
Yeah, comment on the Super Bowl. I think that Denver's going to win it.
Mm-hmm.
My comment is that I like Doug Williams, but I don't think he's going to be able to compete. I think the Denver defense is going to be all over him all game, and he's going to force the turnovers, and that'll probably be the big key of the game.
Now that's an intelligent
Wait a
caller.
second.
Well, intelligent caller.
Well, the only thing I'd say about Washington, if the last 4 or 5 games they played, including the playoffs, they found a way to win. They've gotten down. And he throws like 9 for 27 against Minnesota, and they still win. And I just believe that Washington has a better team than Denver. Obviously, Elway's a better quarterback. Nobody's going to question that. But you take Elway away from Denver, and what is Denver?
Who's going to take him away?
Okay.
Man and Manly aren't going to do it.
Manly. I'm going to predict this. I believe the game will come under, and I think Manly will be the most valuable player in the Super Bowl.
Wrong on both counts. Going over. Denver's going to win it. Elway walks out with MVP.
Here's Ricky. What do you think, Rick?
I'd like to ask Mr. Piazza something, please.
Hit it.
Mr. Piazza, last week you were quoted as saying Jose Vargas and the Tigers were going to destroy Kentucky last week. I was just wondering on the over and under, which is 47, I was wondering who you like so I can maybe just take the opposite of the game.
Well, he's hammering you. The guy's hammering you.
Well, Ricky, first of all, I definitely lost. You know, LSU was the wrong pick, but at least I was 50% last week because was going to beat Holmes before the 5th round.
That's right.
My partner here in crime here, he hadn't had a winner since October.
Good.
So,
Fleabag, he's out of control.
I just think the game's going to come under. I think it's going to be 24-21 Washington, and I think Washington's defense will contain that way.
What do you think of that, Rick?
Well, since he's going to come to my house and watch the game, I'm going to be nice.
Hey, what time's that getting underway, and where's the address?
I can't say the address.
Okay, Rick, thanks for the call. Let's look at this. 4 Louisiana men suiting up for the Super Bowl. Michael Brooks, Gene Lang, magnificent touch in the AFC Championship game. Mitch Andrews, all from LSU. Speaking of Mitch Andrews, replacement player, was cut, brought back during the strike. He's Denver's 3rd tight end. Wouldn't you like to see him?
The quarterback, he lucked out. The Saints cut him, and he's back playing in the Super Bowl, making the big bucks. He lucked out by the Saints cutting him.
And Gus, one guy from USL, Clarence Verdun.
Louisiana's always put players in the pros, you know, and this is no exception.
So it's another good reason to watch, obviously.
Absolutely.
Here's AJ. Hey, AJ, how are you this morning?
Hey, I'm doing fine.
Thanks for the call. Question?
No, I have a comment about the Super Bowl.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, I think, well, if the Denver offensive line can stop Dexter Manley and the defensive line of Washington, and John Elway gets on his game, I think Denver's going to blow them away by 14.
And if it was a skiff, we'd go sailing. I mean, no question about it. If Elway throws for 4 touchdowns and, has those 25 for 35, they're going to win the game. And on the other end, if they sack him 5 or 6 times and he fumbles the ball and turnovers play a factor, Washington can win the game.
How many turnovers did Denver have this year? How many times Elway intercepted this year? Amazing number, 12 times out of 400 passes.
That's unbelievable, there's no question.
Sherry, are you going to be watching the game or are you going to be doing housework?
Oh, I'm going to be watching the game.
They said your name was Sherry. This is Sherry?
Gary.
Oh, Gary. Well, Gary, thanks for being with us. You have a comment concerning the Super Bowl.
Well, this something that nobody's mentioned yet is the coaching staff. Comparing the Redskins coaching staff to the Broncos coaching staff, from what I've heard, people like Brent Musburger, the big sports freaks, nuts, fanatics, whatever you want to call them, they all talk about the Redskins coaching staff and how good they are compared to any other NFL team.
Both coaching staff pretty well experienced in this.
No doubt about it.
I think Coach Gibbs has done a better job with the talent he's had. And I'm not trying to discount Coach Reeves, but I just think Gibbs is one of the premier coaches in the NFL. And every year they say Washington doesn't have it this year. They're just going to be fair, and they seem to find a way to get to the playoffs.
We got to say goodbye before we do. Field goal game. Rich Corliss, he choked in last year's.
They both the worst.
Nolly Haji Shank. That's both teams bad.
If it comes down to that, what happens if we have a 28-28 tie going into overtime?
It'll be a long,
they might play till
game.
Monday. They might play till Monday.
It could become Monday Night Football.
Absolutely.
Right.
I'll tell you what, folks, for good sports talk during the week, stop by and see Gus at Gus Piazza's Phil's Oyster Bar, and we got something we're going to talk about next week.
We got a little scoop. I know Mr. Norman Nasty's the king of scoops, but the Summer Olympics is coming up in Seoul, Korea this summer.
Okay.
But few people in this town know that Baton Rouge this past week received the weight training program for
the Wall Banger.
The Wall Banger on Monterey. Congratulations goes out to Guy Bolello, Coach Hatch. He had Tommy Calandro in the Olympics 4 years ago. They're going to be working out at the Wall Banger, the U.S. Olympic team, coming up this spring.
Let's get them down here next Friday.
We need to get them down.
We'll talk about it. And, of course, you can listen to the infamous Norman's Nasty, 6 o'clock, right, WIBR?
No, 4 to 6.
4 to 6.
Him and his partner in crime, Mr. Broadhead.
Like I said, it's on 4 to 6 WIBR.
The fan in the suit.
All right, something unusual fell into Freddie Rapuana's yard sometime back, and it's millions of years old. That's our unusual segment. It's coming up. But this one's Eddie Ball's favorite, back there in the control room, Sam and Dave, Soul Man. You guys were great tonight.
You got it, Pat. Appreciate it.
All right, Eddie.
I think right now I'm really focusing on the eyes and really maintaining that part, and my lips, I think, as I'm starting to age.
It's never too soon or too late to care.
For skin that's clearer, fresher, and younger looking, watch Love Your Skin.
Yes, I'm in love. And I also have wonderful new skincare that I'm doing.
Watch Love Your Skin Sunday at 9:30 a.m.
Don't wait any longer. The time to buy your new Pontiac is right now. And the place is Durham. Durham Pontiac in Hammond. Factory incentives up to $1,000. Customer rebates up to $750. Plus big, big discounts. You'll get a Durham good deal like you've never seen. Bonnevilles, Grand Hams, Firebirds, Sunbirds. Durham's got them and we're moving them out. But hurry, because this very special program won't last forever. Time to buy your new Pontiac is right now. And the place is Durham. Durham Pontiac in Hammond.
Julie's on your side.
I didn't know you liked that song so much.
Why do I like it so much?
No, I didn't know you liked it that much.
Oh my, Pat, the rhythm, the music.
Yeah. How's everybody doing in the control room?
Fine, man.
How we doing?
Ed's jamming.
Hell's bells, we're gonna have to put bleachers in there.
All right, we're coming back to you, Pat.
All right, here we go. The day, Monday, November 30th, and Mr. Freddie Rapuana, firefighter residing in Baton Rouge, in Greenwell Springs, finds a 1.5-pound rock in his front yard. The rock could possibly be, and get this, 4.6 billion years old. No witnesses as to anyone seeing the fall, but there were several people in South Baton Rouge that same night, or in the last couple of nights, that were reporting shooting stars on the 28th of November. We welcome and are grateful to have Freddie Rapuana with us tonight, and to Chief Thomas Woods. You're based out at the Monterey Fire Station. Thanks to Thomas Woods, and thanks for being in the studio. With Freddie, Professor Dr. Gary Byerly with the Department of Geology and Geophysics at Louisiana State University. 1,000 meteors have hit the Earth, according to the press release.
1,000 have been found. Actually,
1,000
have been found in the United States.
This is over a period of since they started discovering them?
Right.
Okay, go back with this, Freddie, and tell us what happened. You're sitting in your house having a cold one, and bam, this meteor comes flying through the yard, right? Or the trees.
Well, actually, it wasn't that exciting of a story. One of people's favorite things, yard work, is what I'd gone outside to do. And just in kind of rounding the corner, the particular part of the yard I chose to do first.
Okay.
Usually the yard's pretty well manicured, and this thing was sitting right there in the grass, kind of lightly impressed in the ground. And
we need to get somebody to get a close-up on it. I guess probably, Eddie, you want to get on one. Is it okay to...
oh, sure.
This is the meteorite that you found in your yard, and the question is, what are you going to do with it?
I don't know. I guess kind of time's on my side a little bit. I think it'll probably be as desirable, and because of its uniqueness. So I'm going to give it a little thought and not rush in a decision at all.
Okay, let's go over to Dr. Byerly. Many people, Dr. Byerly, across the country have contacted Freddie, and they want this. They want to take it out of the state of Louisiana.
That's right. People from the Smithsonian Institution in Washington have talked with me. People at the Museum of Meteoritics in Arizona. There's already been what scientists like to call a meteorite bounty hunter that's been into town and offered Freddie a considerable amount of money.
How much money was that, Freddie?
It depended on really how many more would be found, but basically if only maybe a couple more were found, maybe about 5,000.
We have a call coming in. Paul's on the line from LSU. Paul, thanks for calling. A question?
Yeah, did the meteor put a dent or anything in your yard?
Well, it's a meteorite, right? I said that too, but when it hits the Earth, it's a meteorite. And he wanted to know, did it put a dent in your yard?
Actually, the impression left was only about half the size of the meteor, so and it kind of rolled over on its side, so it was almost sitting up out of the ground.
But again, back to the scientific importance of it. If this stays in Louisiana, Dr. Byerly, what will happen? I mean, will you take samples of it and run tests to determine age, or what will happen?
Well, there are already chemical tests, studies being done in 3 labs, one in the state of Washington, one out in Washington, D.C. at the Smithsonian, and we're doing quite a bit of work on it already with just this small piece. You can see that we've removed a small piece. This is actually was cut with a diamond saw. So we are already doing some work on it. If it is preserved here in Louisiana, it would really be more for cultural reasons, so that our children and great-grandchildren could see this thing that landed in Baton Rouge.
Robert's on the line. Robert, thanks for calling. A question?
Thank you, Mr. Shingleton. I got a question there for Mr. Rapparano with that meteorite calling from Denham Springs, because we see him out here every now and then. I wanted to know this. How did you know that that rock was special? I mean, you know, you see rocks in your yard every day. What made you think this one was special?
I think this is one of your proverbial setup calls, but we're going to take it anyway. And what did you think that made it special?
Well, usually the yard's pretty well groomed, unlike it is now. And really, when I first saw it, it was kind of impressed on top of all the pine straw. So I knew that pretty much it either, I guess the first thought was either that maybe a kid had thrown it in the yard, or that it was a meteorite. I guess it did strike me away, and I guess I was being kind of negative in thinking that a kid had dropped it in there, but it was just so clean, just like you see it here, and it sort of looked kind of burned as if it had been in a fire or something. So I guess more out of curiosity than anything, I just decided to contact LSU from there.
Okay, once again, we want to emphasize public awareness. 500 of these have hit Kansas, right, Dr. Barley? 2 in Louisiana?
Several hundred in Kansas, 2 in Louisiana.
And people watching should be aware that there could be similar chunks in their yard, in the area where Freddie reported his.
Well, almost certainly every yard in Baton Rouge has a few little meteorites in it. Almost certainly we'll never know because people won't find them. One's this large, and this is actually a fairly large one. We probably won't find another one like this in Baton Rouge, but it's still worth looking for because they are very special things.
Hey, Freddie, thanks for coming down.
All right,
and a special thank you, too, to the people at the Baton Rouge Fire Department, especially Chief Woods, for getting. I know you got to go back out to the station. Tell all the guys out there we said hello. And girls, too, I would imagine. Okay. Dr. Byerly, thank you. Appreciate it. We didn't get a chance to get the slides. We'll come back next time and maybe talk again. How's that sound? Tonight, a gentleman who has held the position of coroner in this parish since 1972. And if you didn't know that this is one of the most powerful, responsible, and influential government positions, you'll find out why. Let's take a break, and what better way to do it than looking back. Here's the Buckinghams and Susan.
Looks like I'm losing my mind. I'm wasting my time.
We're on our way. We'll be there in about 5 minutes.
Cellular One. Let us send you soaring over the competition.
All I did was eat a chili dog with pickles, and all of a sudden I'm living in Siberia. So I take a claret.
Hey, where did you come from?
Only Claret's has Actazole with chlorophyll. Gets rid of bad breath fast.
Eat a harmless meatball hero with a couple of onions on it. What happens? Nobody wants to come near me. So I take a Claret's.
Hey, how you doing? Only Claret's has Actazole with chlorophyll. Gets rid of bad breath fast.
Hello.
Hi, it's good to see you again.
You're always welcome at the Highland Plasma Center. You're always needed for that special part of you.
Our donors are special people. Their contribution's important because many medical products can be made only from human blood plasma. And our donors are paid in cash after each donation.
It pays to help. It's in your blood. Give blood.
For more information on how you can help, contact the Highland Plasma Center.
As mentioned in the intro, a lot of people probably aren't aware, but the coroner in East Baton Rouge Parish has a tremendous amount of responsibility, and with responsibility obviously comes you know, the headaches and the influence and whatnot. We're happy to have with us tonight on our hot seat, Coroner Hypolite Landry. Hypolite, many people don't know this, but the coroner in East Baton Rouge Parish, by state law, can commit people. Now, you know I'm crazy. We've had letters to attest to the fact that I'm crazy.
I have the men outside with the big long net in case you get out of control tonight, Pat. We might have to take some action on you. We're watching for you.
My wife says I'm crazy. So they come to you, and maybe you get 15 people when we say, hey, this is a case here. We got to put old Pat in the padded cell. Obviously, it doesn't happen that way, but that's...
Well, the coroner in Louisiana, it's the only state, is responsible for the involuntary commitment of the mentally ill and the alcoholic and the drug abuser, in addition to his regular duties of investigating violent deaths, unusual deaths, or unexpected or unexplained deaths. So it is usually a function of the court in most states, but it's a function of the coroner's office.
So in other states, it go before a judge, and he would make the determination. And
well,
now it's up.
It varies.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's like that.
Let's go back to Brother Earl Long. He was committed by the coroner in East Baton Rouge Parish from what my research that I was able to do. Chester, I don't know what his last name.
Williams, Dr. Chester Williams was my predecessor, and that's right. In the 50s, when Earl had some problems, the governor, the governor's wife petitioned Dr. Williams, and Dr. Williams signed the commitment papers and put him in the in Mandeville and committed him to a state institution.
When we came up with the Hotline segment this week, I was intrigued by what you were doing and the way that you were doing it. I had a part-time job in Allegheny County in Pittsburgh when I was going to college, and it was working in the kind of the toxicology, pharmacology department of the Allegheny County Coroner's Office. This is a gruesome job. How did you ever decide to get into this type of work or this line of work?
Well, I had a very busy general practice of medicine, Pat, and I became interested in flying, and I was on the airport district, and I was chairman of the airport district, and it kind of got to be a political thing. And then, so I was interested in some political field. It's a protected, more or less, political office. You have to be a medical doctor to run for the office, so I ran for it, and been in it for 16 years, and I've just been elected to another 4 years without any opposition.
Let's take a call. Dixie's calling in from Port Allen. Good morning.
Good morning. I'd like to find out, when someone dies and you sign papers for an autopsy to be performed, you know, the family goes through this bit, which is very hard, and then the coroner decides not to perform the autopsy. Why wouldn't it be performed if you signed the consent papers?
Well, it depends on where the death occurred. If a death occurs in the hospital and the family requests it, it's the responsibility of the pathologist in the hospital to do it if it's not a coroner's case. Now, if it's a coroner's case, you don't need to sign any papers. If the coroner thinks that an autopsy should be performed, he has it run, and if he doesn't have to have it run.
But any death that occurs other than a physician being in attendance within the last 24 hours, an autopsy needs to be performed?
No, sir. You can make a clinical diagnosis in death just like in life. We certainly don't autopsy every coroner's case. We have 150 cases in the East Baton Rouge Parish every month that are coroner's cases. And we probably have autopsies on 5% of them. It's just where it's necessary. There are many coroner's cases that are natural deaths. So like anybody that comes into an emergency room and is DOA, that's a coroner's case because it's an unexpected death, maybe.
Right. Do you do an autopsy then?
No, you don't have to.
But you have one of your assistants on the scene and they make the determination?
Well, we see them, or the doctor at the hospital sees them, and we make the determination. We do autopsies in all violent deaths. Where they are shootings, stabbings, hangings, drownings, or anything of this nature, or drug overdose, or any suspected violence. And we do them in any suspicious death in which we suspicion some negligence or something of that.
We have some calls coming in, but I thought we'd take a commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit with Hypolite about before the Rape Crisis Center was set up. In our very opening segment with Dana Smith, you were handling all of that. You were the one that was making the determinations by evidence and whatnot as the
And we're very thankful for the Rape Crisis Center. For the first 5 years that I was in office, I was responsible for and examining all of the rape victims, and it was a very inadequate system as compared to what we had now.
Let's talk about that when we come back. The phone lines are open if you want to talk to Hypolite Landry, the coroner in East Baton Rouge Parish. 344-5463 is the number, or 800-356-7023. There's a kind of a hush, I guess there is. Here's the cellos. We'll be right back.
All over the world tonight, all over the world, you sounds of lovers in love.
You are what you wear. McLavy and Easterly, men's clothiers.
Limousine service for Hotline After Dark provided by Riverside Limousine. When an occasion demands the best, call Riverside Limousine at 928-LIMO. That's 928-5466. For your next presentation, call the Slide Source. We'll produce your slides in sync, on time, and in budget. The Slide Source at 922-4666.
To Michelob.
There's a kind of hush all over the world tonight, all over the world.
We've got some good response from the old songs coming in. That was the cellos, and there's a kind of hush, but there's not very much of a hush in your business. Boy, you're busier than heck. Let's talk a little bit more about what you used to do then, prior to the Rape Crisis Center and that coming.
Well, that's the only thing that was a little different, Pat. In those days, the coroner was responsible for the examination of the rape victims, and I used to have to go out all hours of the night and examine the rape victims. And unfortunately, it was just me and the 2 police officers that would be called to the scene, and it was a very inadequate process. We did what we're supposed to do physically, but they didn't have any counseling or any any part of it at all. And so they inaugurated that. The district attorney's office started this about 12 years ago, and it's just a fantastic thing, and I really enjoyed seeing them talking about it. Doing a real good job.
We're going to have them back again. AIDS connection, boy, now you got another headache. Now everybody that gets a marriage license has to be tested for AIDS. This thing's, people don't realize how bad it is as far as what AIDS is doing on. Tell us.
Well, we see them, you know, in Baton Rouge, we see them now and then very frequently come through our office, deaths from AIDS. We don't put it in the paper, but it's there, and we see it increasing. I hope that some progress is made to start decreasing it, but as right now, it's on the increase.
Let's take a call from Alan. Alan, you're on the phone. Thanks for calling. A question?
Yes, Dr. Landry?
Yes, sir.
If someone had been in the service and diagnosed as a paranoid schizophrenic,
yes, sir.
Many years ago, can he receive state help after a number of years if he feels the symptoms coming back on?
I guess it would be dependent upon his present problems. He'd have to be seen and see. Actually, the first thing we should look for is to help for the person if he's having problems. That you should try and treat the illness, and then, of course, if there's something to be done, it would be done through the state. I'm certain.
This is Larry calling from New Roads. Good morning, Larry.
No, actually, it's Bill from Baton Rouge. But
I'm sorry, Bill. Yeah. My apologies. Go ahead.
Okay, I've got a question and a comment.
Okay, go ahead.
The comment is I think they put too much pressure on the coroner as far as responsibilities are concerned. And the question is, whatever happened to Terry Forrester?
To who?
Terry Forrester.
Who is Terry Forrester?
I don't know. I'm sorry we lost the call, too. Bill, if you're watching, our apologies. I accidentally went and tried to go to the next call. If you can call us back, Julie will put you right in. Maybe it was a particular case.
I don't know. I wouldn't comment if it was a case, but go ahead.
But now, with the AIDS testing, you had mentioned one night on an AIDS connection show that we had concerning condom sales and how the things have happened concerning what is going on with AIDS in this area. At least that's what Bobby told me. He told me to ask you.
I was on it that night. I don't remember what we talked about. It was about midnight or 1 in the morning, Pat, but I don't remember the specifics of it.
But in your office, do you have the influence on a health standpoint to also be involved in that end of it?
Well, if there's a death, we suspect AIDS, we can run the test, and of course we have to report it to the state if it is an AIDS-related death. It's reportable now, and of course, like you said, when you have a marriage license, now you have to get the AIDS test. I examined a couple that were getting married yesterday, and I had to get the AIDS test on them.
I see. Good morning. You're on Hotline After Dark. A question?
Yes, Dr. Landry, I'd like to get some information, a little regression here.
Yes, sir.
Now, I had an older sister of mine pass away 18 years ago now, and
She was 28 years old, and I was wondering if there was any way that I never got a chance to see a death certificate or anything from it. And I was wondering how I would go about possibly arranging to see a death certificate or what steps I should take.
Well, why don't you just call me in the office next week, and I'll be glad to assist you in doing it. We could write to the call down in New Orleans to the Department of Vital Statistics, and I'll assist you in it, and I may have something in my office on it.
So all he needs to do is contact you,
and I'll try and help him.
He'll be able to try and track that down. Calling from White Castle, is this Chris?
Yes, it is.
Thanks for calling. A question for Dr. Landry?
Yes. I had a brother who died of aspirin intoxication, and a lot of people don't realize, how serious it is when aspirin goes bad, and it can poison the system.
Are you talking about regular house aspirin, like
household aspirin for headaches?
You've run into this before?
Oh yeah, we've had aspirin deaths, certainly.
And what causes it?
Well, it's just an intoxication. It's a chemical. It's an acid, acetylsalicylic acid, and too much of it is like too much alcohol or too much of any chemical. It will cause death. It causes a fast heartbeat and increased respiration, and it definitely causes
So it's
death.
an overdose.
Oh yeah, you can overdose on aspirin as well as you can.
But this was not an overdose. This had spoiled. It was outdated.
I'm not aware of that. I've never had one that did that. I've never had an outdated aspirin. It was a therapeutic dose and it caused death? You think it was a therapeutic dose? It wasn't an overdose?
No, it was not. It was not an overdose.
Okay, and do you have a further comment on it? Because I have never had an experience with it.
Well, I've heard of the problem before, and I just think it's something that the public needs to be made aware of because, he was 21 years old.
Well, I think that certainly is a good awareness. Of course, aspirin is inexpensive, and so if it were getting old, people certainly should replace it.
Thank you for the call.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. We'll take one more call. Good morning, Ramona.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. Thanks for calling. Question?
Yes, a question for Dr. Landry.
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to know if it's possible for a neighbor or a friend to report or what can be done if a non-family member report a mental patient in a neighborhood or just a friend. If the family refuses to report this problem.
Yeah, something can be done about it. The person who's interested, such as you, if it were you could come down and talk to us, and we will evaluate your complaints and what's going on, and if they're legitimate, and if we think that someone has a mental illness or an alcohol problem that renders them either dangerous to themselves or others, we can do something about it. We can have them evaluated, and action can be taken without the family if we think that your complaints are valid.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the call. Hypolite, you work every day around death, and this past June, I believe it was, a tragedy that made headlines here involved a very good friend of yours and a gubernatorial candidate for the state of Louisiana. It was Butch Baum. You made a trip to Oklahoma to examine that evidence and to check some findings. Were you satisfied with the results that the coroner did in Oklahoma on that particular case?
Yes, sir, I am. That's a good question. A lot of people seem to think it's a mystery, and I don't really think it's a mystery, Pat. And if you've got a second, I can tell you about it.
Sure, please. That's we devoted this time to.
I did speak with the coroner up there in the coroner's office and the chief medical examiner for Oklahoma City, and they sent me the complete autopsy, and I went through it, and I was pleased with it. They were very thorough, and they determined that Mr. Baum was living at the time of his death, that at the time of the crash, that he was still living when the airplane crashed.
Mm-hmm.
And from all the statistics that we can get, of course, the airplane left here and was on this heading of 310 degrees, and it just kept going, and when Butch told the tower goodbye here, he should have been calling Alexander approach control within about 8 or 10 minutes, and he didn't do it. So something must have happened to him in that period of time. Now, the examination of the body didn't reveal any of the blood or the fluids in the body, did not reveal the presence of any drugs or carbon monoxide or anything that would have killed him. I looked at Mr. Baum's body when it came back. I met it at the airport, and I went to the funeral home, and I examined it, and coincidentally, I'd taken his appendix out 17 years ago, so I looked at the appendix, the scar that I had, because some people doubted that this was his body, and of course it was him because I looked at him. And He sustained severe injuries in the crash. He had a severe head injury which fractured the skull and just lacerated his brain. And when this happens, it's impossible for the pathologist to perform the autopsy to really ascertain if there had been any hemorrhage in the brain. If someone dies in a bed, and you can section the brain and look to see if there are any blood vessels that were clogged or bleeding or whatever, you can't do this when the brain is severely traumatized, as it was in his instance. Some narrowing of the blood vessels in his heart. He had 40% narrowing of one artery and 20% of two other arteries.
What does that tell you? Possible heart attack?
He's got some arteriosclerotic heart disease, and if you have it in your heart, you've got it in the brain, in the blood vessels in the rest of your body, in the brain. Our suspicion that Mr. Baum had a incapacitating illness, such as a hemorrhage in the brain or a blood clot that caused him to be unconscious, and the plane just kept flying. And you couldn't ascertain this at autopsy because the brain was too traumatized to find evidence of a clot or a hemorrhage in the brain. And it's through no negligence of the pathologist department up there. They just
did as much as they could.
That's right. I was very pleased with what they did, and it's my opinion that he suffered an incapacitated illness that rendered him unconscious, and the plane and he was living, and the plane kept flying. And of course, what happened when the plane ran out of gas and it started to fall, the autopilot took control and made it pitch up, and witnesses saw it pitch up and down. And then when it pitched up, the autopilot overpitched and came down. And the fact that the plane pancaked in and didn't disintegrate, it really hit hard. And of course, this caused his death immediately.
Do you think it's just the climate that we're in this state, the Jim Leslie murders, all of these things, that people have a tendency to immediately cry foul play? There was, maybe some foul play involved there.
Well, Butch was a controversial figure, and there are a lot of controversies surrounding his life. Certainly, there's still many things coming up, and he was an unbelievable person, and you would expect it to surround him. I'm not surprised at it at all.
Okay. Hey, thanks for being with us.
A pleasure being with you.
Come back and see us. And look, you're not going to get the net out on me tonight.
No, congratulations on the new baby.
I appreciate it.
Tell the wife
hello. I appreciate it. Stay with us one second.
Okay.
Julie, do I say bye-bye here, or are we going to break?
One more break, and you're coming back to tell them what's coming up next week.
Okay, we'll be right back, folks. And I think we got one more song here. I don't know what the heck it is.
Jan and Dean.
What is it?
Jan and Dean.
Well, why don't you guys intro the song from back there?
Jan and Dean.
Yeah. All right, Julie, thank you.
Come to stay and ride the wild surf. They come to try to conquer those waves.
Starving Artist Group Emergency Liquidation Art Sale for one day only. Save up to 50%. Huge sofa-size original oil paintings from $19. Smaller paintings from $3. Thousands of beautiful original oil paintings by professional artists. Absolutely no painting